Good Sunday morning, everybody. I'm Carly Barnett. It is now 7 o'clock, and here is what we are working on right now. A suspect on the run shoots at police, and the chase goes on mile after mile through several South Florida counties before it finally ends. And a final campaign push. Andrew Gillum and Ron DeSantis start making their final pitches to Florida voters, while in-person early voting kicks off tomorrow. And another jackpot up for grabs, another night of no big winner. All eyes on the Mega Millions and its historic prize. And the Heat play their first home game of the 2018 season, and this one came down to the wire and a controversial call.
This is CBS 4 News This Morning.
Good morning, everybody. It is 7 o'clock on Sunday, this October 21st. Thank you for joining us. I'm Carly Barnett. First, let's send it right over to meteorologist Dave Warren. Dave, how's our Sunday looking today?
Sunday looks pretty good, but tonight things are going to change a bit here. We're talking about our first cold front here. Not here yet. It looks pretty comfortable. You step outside, nice sunshine on the way. But look north, 60s, no 50s yet. This is up around Jacksonville, where that cold front is pushing south. Temperature change over the last 24 hours. You see it dropping in Pensacola, Tallahassee, and Gainesville. The numbers are dropping just a bit. Wind speeds will be picking up here tonight. They are turning to the north. We just have a northwest wind here across the area this morning. Radar is pretty quiet. Real-time Doppler is all clear, but there's that live picture. Sunshine on the way. It comes up just about 20 minutes from now. Mid-70s, so nice and comfortable start, but it'll be pretty warm today. Temperature should easily climb into the upper 80s. Big change, though, this evening. Becomes gusty overnight. The temperatures drop just a bit, and the wind speeds will really be impacting our weather here tonight and early tomorrow, especially along the coast. I'll look at the timing with the cold front and the temperatures and the wind speeds all coming up with a complete forecast when I come back.
Thank you, Dave. This morning, an armed suspect is dead after a police chase that stretched across 4 South Florida counties, and thousands of drivers were caught up in the action. That chase beginning in Florida City and South Miami-Dade and causing awful traffic jams all the way north to Martin County. CBS 4's Ty Russell has these details.
A stretch of the turnpike in Martin County turned into a parking lot for law enforcement officers. This is the end of a police chase near Palm City that started in Miami-Dade just before 5 in the evening Saturday. Martin County Sheriff William Snyder explained why this impacted thousands of drivers longer than expected.
We are working to get gasoline for some of the police vehicles and help them with tires. It was a long chase.
Sheriff Snyder identified the driver of the gray Chevy as Michael Sardinez from Hollywood, Florida, who shot and killed himself, ending the chase.
He is listed as he's on some kind of felony release from the prison system, and he's listed as a high-risk sex offender.
Investigators say Sardinez was involved in a hit and run in Florida City. The crash happened on US 1 near the end of the turnpike. Miami-Dade investigators say when an officer spotted the car and tried to pull him over, the driver fired shots at the officer, and the chase kept going. The Martin County Sheriff says Sardinez drove up to 65 miles per hour and slowed down to 45 because of a flat tire. That's when a Martin County Sheriff Sergeant did a pit maneuver. The sheriff then explained what happened once the Chevy started spinning.
A gunshot went off inside the car, and when it came to rest, the suspect had what we believe at this time is a self-inflicted gunshot wound to his head.
The sheriff says there were bullet holes in the suspect's car, but he doesn't believe officers killed him. Investigators have not said the number of officers that fired their guns during this 125-mile-long chase. And also, we're still working to learn who exactly was injured in that hit and run in Florida City and how they're doing. But for now, we are in Martin County. I'm Ty Russell, CBS 4 This Morning.
Well, new this morning, another big jackpot and another big rollover. Nobody matched all 5 numbers plus the Powerball in last night's $470 million Powerball drawing. The winning numbers were 16, 54, 57, 62, 69, and the Powerball was 23. One Floridian did get all 5 numbers with power play, so that person wins a nice $2 million consolation prize. Boo-hoo, right? The combined jackpots between Powerball and Mega Millions now equals an estimated, listen to this, $2.2 billion. Yes, with a B. Not enough to make you one of the richest people in the world. That honor still goes to Miami native Jeff Bezos with an estimated net worth of a casual $160 billion. But it's certainly nothing to sneeze at either. I wouldn't complain. So what would you do with all of that money?
I'll probably live in the cabin in the woods, like far away from this city and humanity, just live in the cabin.
Well, unfortunately, the odds of winning are not that great. With the Powerball being 1 in 292 million, you actually have a better chance of just dating a millionaire already. The odds of winning the Mega Millions, even worse than that, 1 in 302.5 million, which means you are 80 times more likely to be killed by a shark. Good morning, everybody. The next drawing is Tuesday. That is the Mega Millions and a $1.6 billion jackpot. Now moving on to campaign 2018, Election Day, just over 2 weeks away, but early voting across South Florida and the Keys starts tomorrow. Campaigns in the final push now to get people to go out and vote. For Andrew Gillum, that meant some star power to South Florida. Producer, director, and writer Lee Daniels and actress Tracy Ellis Ross joining Gillum's wife today. They are rallying voters in Alapata.
This election is probably the most important one of our lives. No matter how old you are, there's a lot at stake.
Meantime, GOP candidate Ron DeSantis spent yesterday meeting voters across Central Florida. We have more on the governor's race just ahead at 7:30. Those two nominees for governor are also preparing for a debate right here in South Florida. Gillum and DeSantis facing off Wednesday. That's October 24th at Broward College. You can watch that debate live at 7 p.m. right here on CBS 4. Now in the Trump presidency, the president is weighing in on the murder of Washington Post reporter Jamal Khashoggi, saying he is now considering sanctions against Saudi Arabia, though he remains reluctant to cancel a U.S. arms deal with that country. CBS News correspondent Errol Barnett has more.
I'm not satisfied until we find the answer, but it was a big first step. It was a good first step.
Before boarding Air Force One in Nevada today, President Trump responded to Saudi Arabia's confirmation of Jamal Khashoggi's death, expressing hesitation to terminate a new $110 billion arms deal.
I think it's over 1 million jobs. That's not helpful for us to cancel an order like that. That hurts us far more than it hurts them.
The president says he would like to speak to Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, a man Republican Senator Lindsey Graham said was toxic and a wrecking ball. Congress will be involved in crafting a response to the Khashoggi killing, with senior Republicans suggesting the expulsion of Saudi diplomats, targeted sanctions, or curtailing any future arms sales.
The Democrats want to throw open your borders to deadly drugs and gangs.
This week, the president has been out west holding rallies in support of Republican candidates fighting close midterm races.
Let's take back the Senate, and we will change the world as we know it.
Also in Nevada today is former Vice President Joe Biden supporting Democratic candidates and fueling speculation of a potential 2020 presidential run.
It's a conscious effort to divide the country, but we can't let it work again.
Now, after President Trump returns to the White House Saturday night, he's here only a day before returning to the campaign trail. On Monday, he heads to Texas to help defend Senator Ted Cruz's re-election bid, while former President Barack Obama will rally for Democrats in Nevada's statewide races the same day. And a reminder, midterm elections are just over 2 weeks away. Errol Barnett, CBS News, the White House.
President Trump also announced he is withdrawing the U.S. from the nuclear treaty with Russia, which dates back to the Reagan administration and the Soviet Union. A National Security Council spokesperson tells CBS News Russia continues to produce prohibited cruise missiles. All this comes just as President's national security advisor, John Bolton, heads to Moscow. Well, it was the Heat's season home opener facing the Charlotte Hornets, and they tried their best to send the AAA crowd home happy. Unfortunately, just wasn't enough. CBS 4 sports anchor Mike Cunha was at that game.
Well, it looked ugly for the Heat early on, but a huge second half comeback gets spoiled by a controversial play in the final seconds here at the AAA in Miami's home opener. Udonis Haslem geared up for this first game of the season at the AAA, and so is Derek Jones Jr. They call him airplane mode because of dunks like this. Yet Miami found themselves in a 26-point hole in the third. Dwayne Wade helping the comeback effort with this three. He scores 21. Miami had this game tied at 112 in the final seconds, but Kemba Walker was a killer with 39 points. He holds on for the final shot, gets fouled, goes to the line. He hits the first, intentionally misses the second, and time runs out on Miami's homecoming. 113-112 the final. This was the third straight game for the Heat to open the season that ended with a 1-point difference. We're going to hear from the team coming up later in sports. Mike Cunha, CBS 4 this morning.
And still ahead on CBS 4 this Sunday morning, a report card on the effects of Hurricane Michael. Hear about the many ways that this storm is already impacting Florida's future. Plus, thousands of Central American migrants waiting at the border between Mexico and Guatemala, waiting to be let through so they can continue their journey to the United States. CBS 4 this Sunday morning. We'll be right back. Now to the very latest. After Hurricane Michael devastated the Florida Panhandle, the death toll continues to climb as tens of thousands of people are still living without power. CBS 4's Diane Magnum has this story.
In some parts of the Panhandle, it still looks like nothing has changed since the storm hit a week and a half ago. More than 90,000 people are still without power in Florida, while hospitals in the Panhandle are still running on survival mode, using generators to power buildings and treat patients. And Hurricane Michael not just damaging homes and businesses, but agriculture as well. The state now saying nearly $3 billion of timber were destroyed by the storm. And sadly, the death toll also continues rising. 35 people are now confirmed dead from both the storm and the aftermath, including 25 people here in Florida. The latest death, a firefighter in Gulf County who was killed by a falling tree while clearing debris. Closed roads, damaged buildings, and power outages are also likely to have an impact at the polls. With Election Day only 2 weeks away, the state now easing restrictions in the hurricane zone on early voting and voting by mail. And while the world continues seeing these pictures of total destruction, the state's tourism board is trying to get another word out, that most of the rest of the state is still open for business. Visit Florida approving a $9 million marketing plan to lure tourists back. Diane Magnum, CBS 4 This Morning.
So far, FEMA has approved more than $15 million in aid for those individuals. The state also giving out more than 10 million meals and 3 million gallons of water. Now at 7 on Miami Beach yesterday, gun supporters asserted their right to bear arms. 4 months ago, 6 members of the group called Open Carry were met by police when they first showed up on a pier brandishing guns. Fishermen who were scared by those firearms called police, but this time the group told police about their protest ahead of time, citing a Florida statute that allows, quote, a person engaged in fishing, camping, or lawful hunting to openly carry a firearm. Yesterday's protest took place without incident. A city commissioner in Central Florida is under arrest, accused of shooting and killing a man. This surveillance video shows 47-year-old Michael Dunn firing at a man he accused of shoplifting. 50-year-old Cristobal Lopez died from his injuries. A state prosecutor says this situation does not fall under Florida's stand your ground law. The Bartow City Commissioner is charged with second-degree murder and is being held without bond. In world news now, another deadly attack in Afghanistan as citizens there attempt to vote in parliamentary elections. A roadside bomb killed at least 11 people, including 6 children. Voting was supposed to have already finished, but because of the attacks in other parts of the country, polls were kept open another day. At least 15 people were killed yesterday when a man blew himself up at a polling place in the nation's capital. Afghanistan is attempting to have their first parliamentary elections in 3 years. So far, no group has claimed responsibility for the attack, but Taliban militants did warn people not to vote, saying election centers could be attacked. Thousands of Central American migrants who are trying to get into the U.S. are still blocked at Mexico's southern border. A number of women and children were allowed through while others found their own way in. CBS News correspondent Adriana Diaz was there.
This is the latest stop on a risky journey to a new future, or at least the hope of one. Countless migrants, mostly from Honduras, slept overnight on this bridge that stretches from Guatemala to Mexico. On Friday, the massive group tore down a fence, allowing some people to stream through. Their reasons are clear. According to this Honduran migrant, he said there's hunger, corruption, insecurity, and uncertainty. That's forcing Hondurans to leave our country because we can't live there anymore. Mexico is processing some women and children for entry. But today, others avoided the mostly deadlocked bridge by going under it. They used makeshift boats, little more than inner tubes and plywood. 17-year-old Jimmy Aron Hernandez was one of them.
How old are you? ¿Cuántos años tienes?
¿Cuántos años tienes?
17. 17. ¿A dónde quieres ir? Where do you want to go?
Estados Unidos.
To the United States. Why? ¿Por qué?
Porque quiero hacer una nueva vida, sacar a mi familia adelante.
You want to start a new life and help your family move forward. The few people who have the proper paperwork, who have passports, who have visas, will be allowed into Mexico. The others, there he goes. He just jumped. And he's swimming. The water where he is pretty shallow, but there are parts of this river where the water reaches chest deep or deeper. It is dangerous to jump, but this is what a lot of people are resorting to in order to get to Mexico any way they can.
Federal police were there to keep order, but not stop illegal crossings. Further south in Guatemala, police tried to create a blockade, but this truck tore through it, helping migrants join the caravan.
Meantime, the Honduran Foreign Ministry said in a press release that 2,000 people from the migrant caravan have now returned to Honduras. The ministry also said 400 more people from the caravan will be back on their way soon. President Juan Orlando Hernandez promised jobs and other types of aid to help people that come back. Now to the South Seas, where Prince Harry and his wife Meghan have opened the Invictus Games in Australia. With all the pomp and circumstance you would expect for a royal couple, the bright lights of the Sydney Opera House welcomed athletes from around the world. These games offer a competitive forum for sick and injured military personnel. Prince Harry came up with the idea back in 2014, and even a rainstorm, which delayed the start by more than an hour, could not dampen everyone's enthusiasm. Hours before the opening ceremony, Harry and Meghan presented the first medals of the 2018 Games. Those medals went to competitors from France who won the Jaguar Land Rover Driving Challenge, an event designed to test driving skills, navigation, observation, and teamwork inside these specially outfitted vehicles. Very great event there. All right, Dave, you were saying there's going to be a bit of a cold front, dare I say.
Yes, a few degrees, so maybe not a big typical cold front, but you'll notice the change here overnight tonight and tomorrow morning. First off, you have to get through today. Today's not bad. Today's looking pretty good. The numbers show that what's happening here, we have these temperatures which are dropping last 24 hours. Not much of a change here across much of the state, but right up here to the Panhandle and Jacksonville, you're seeing these 24-hour temperature changes, just a few degrees, and that'll slowly begin to work its way down the state. A wind picking up here outside of the northwest. We're looking for this to turn to the northeast and then get very gusty here here over the next few hours. Then that itself will kind of push itself down the Florida Peninsula. Right now, we're just seeing a northwest wind, so that'll keep us pretty warm today. Temperatures again climbing into the upper 80s. Plenty of sunshine out there this morning. A live picture in Fort Lauderdale shows that. Mid-70s right now, so nice and comfortable. You step outside right now, it feels pretty nice. He's still a bit muggy in some areas, but that'll be going down as well. Along with the live pictures, we have some pictures sent in from our viewers. Bart sent us this nice shot looking to the east there in Fort Lauderdale. Temperatures are into the mid-70s across the area, 75, 76, and 77. Pretty uniform numbers across the region. Nothing on real-time Doppler. Maybe a few showers will develop as this front pushes south. It is now pushing down through the Carolinas. There's that leading edge of it. These clouds and showers pushing in through Jacksonville, going right to the computer forecast. And you see throughout the morning, it moves south. And then by this afternoon and this evening, right across the area here, that's when we'll notice the change. Maybe just a few showers with a little bit of moisture ahead of it. But look at that strong wind developing out of the east to northeast there throughout the day Monday and then again Tuesday. The front stalling just to our south. So wind will be the big issue here. That gusty wind kind of works its way south. 20 to 25, maybe a higher gust. That'll cause a lot of problems up and down the coast here, not only in Florida, but all the way up through the Carolinas. And the waves picking up as well throughout the day today. They kind of work their way south, and then we're seeing 4 to 6 foot seas, maybe a little higher at times throughout the day Monday. That will lead to this. A small craft advisory goes into effect tonight that will likely be extended through tomorrow. So advisory tonight, 2 to 4 foot seas increasing to 5 feet. There's a moderate chop in the bays. The surf temperature there is 82. In the Keys, though, just want to use caution, and the waves slowly working south. So just 2 to 4 foot seas. The surf temperature there is 82. Tropics are pretty quiet. Nothing expected to develop here over the next 5 days, but we'll just have that cold front coming through tonight. So a few afternoon showers, maybe even a thunderstorm. Wind northwest, goes northeast about 10 to 15, then gets gusty here overnight tonight with a temperature of 89. 1 o'clock kickoff today. That's sunny with a breeze. So football weather, well, we don't have that cold front here yet. Maybe just a few showers developing. Gusty wind with that front coming through today. So we see showers, then the wind picks up. It's gusty Monday, gusty early Tuesday, but not quite as gusty in the afternoon. Moisture comes back Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 88 each day, which is about average or slightly above. Sunshine and storms are in the forecast for the rest of the week.
I'll take those slightly cooler morning temperatures. Still ahead on CBS 4 this Sunday morning. Seafood lovers, listen up. What you are ordering off the menu may not be what you're actually eating. The shocking bait and switch when we come back. Now caught on camera, a fast-acting pilot makes a truly amazing emergency landing on a busy California highway.
On top of cars.
Well, this single-engine plane lost power short of the runway near San Diego, forcing the pilot on board to land his aircraft on the road between moving cars. That pilot, who was actually a flight instructor, getting the speed just right so that his plane didn't even touch any of the vehicles. Incredibly, nobody was hurt and no property was damaged. Well, living as we do right off the Atlantic Ocean, many of us in South Florida love our seafood. In fact, the U.S. is now the second largest consumer of seafood worldwide after China. But apparently what we order isn't actually what we eat. CBS 4's Meg Oliver explains.
There's no antibiotics and there's no growth enhancers. There's none of that.
Every week, Lisa Rosenberg peppers her local seafood market with plenty of questions.
Ora King is the one from New Zealand.
Right. From salmon and scallops to shrimp, Lisa wants to know when and where everything came from.
Just knowing that the seafood we're getting is fresh and coming from a country that has shipped it in a timely manner and markets it and is honest with their marketing practices.
Those practices have come under fire around the globe with rampant fraud in all stages of the seafood industry. One study of retailers found seafood like grouper, cod, and snapper may be mislabeled up to 87% of the time, swapped out for less desirable and cheaper varieties. For example, only 7 of the 120 samples of red snapper were actually red snapper. Estimated more than 90% of the seafood consumed in the U.S. is imported, and less than 1% is tested by the government.
Is it better to buy organic seafood?
Not really. In this country, there's no legal standard for organic for seafood.
No legal standard?
No, when they did the organic standards for meat and poultry and chicken, they excluded seafood. So when you see organic on seafood, it's not a legally enforceable standard, so they can put that on just about anything.
Larry Olmsted is the author of Real Food, Fake Food. He spent years researching the unregulated food industry, calling fish the most frequently faked food Americans buy.
The inexpensive fish that are being substituted, a lot of them are farmed in Southeast Asia from places that have been shown over and over again to use bad practices, ban drugs, ban pesticides. The bottom line is a lot of the fish that we eat, we don't know where it came from or how it was produced at all.
So how dangerous is this?
I think it's pretty dangerous. There's tens of millions of people that get sick from foodborne illness every year that the CDC cannot explain.
Meg Oliver, CBS News, New York.
Well, the more you know, right? Still ahead on CBS 4 this Sunday morning, a manhunt underway in Georgia after an officer is shot and killed in the line of duty. The search for a killer in news across America coming up. Stay with us.
is CBS 4 News This Morning.
Good Sunday morning, everybody. I'm Carly Barnett. It is 7:30 right now, and here is what we are working on. A manhunt is underway in Georgia after an officer is shot and killed. One suspect is in custody, but police say the man who pulled the trigger is still on the run. And mentoring matters. One man is on a mission to change lives in the same area he grew up and went to school in. Now he and his team are making a difference. But first, we're going to send it straight over to meteorologist Dave Warren. He has a look at the rest of our weekend forecast. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning. Yes, weekend looks pretty good for now. We have sunshine to start. We're seeing that with our camera here in Fort Lauderdale, but big changes here on the way tonight. You can see the first hint of that with the temperatures. 60s there to the north, 70s in Orlando, mid 70s here in Miami, and 80 in Key West. But the change over the last 24 hours, 13 degrees cooler in Pensacola. Tallahassee is about 5 degrees cooler, like Jacksonville, and we're about the same, but that cooler air is pushing south. That's cold fronts moving in our direction. Wind speeds will be turning to the north and northeast and picking up speed here over the next few hours and then slowly working their way south. Right now, just a northwest wind about 5 or 10 miles an hour. Clear on real-time Doppler. There is the live picture. The numbers coming in at 80 in Key West, 77 in Fort Lauderdale. Miami's at 76. Before that front gets here, we'll see plenty of sunshine, nice little breeze, and temperatures up to about 89, maybe closer to 90. The wind picks up. It becomes gusty here overnight tonight, and that may impact our temperatures slightly and our weather here, especially along the coast over the next few days. I'll look at that in the extended forecast when I come back.
All right, thank you, Dave. Now in news across America, a manhunt is underway in Georgia after an officer was shot and killed while investigating a suspicious vehicle. Isaiah Pretlow was taken into custody last night. He's facing an aggravated assault charge, but Tafari Maynard, the man police believe fired those fatal shots, is still on the run. Police say the officer didn't even have time to speak with the suspects before he was shot.
It's devastation. You know, this is something that no police chief and nobody ever wants to go through something like this.
After the shooting, the suspect's car sped away but crashed just about a mile later. Officer Antoine Toney had been with the department for nearly 3 years. He was only 30 years old. And 30 people were hurt after a floor collapsed during a party near Clemson University. This happened early this morning. Police say the building's first floor dropped into the basement as people were dancing. No word on how serious those injuries were. The property management company told CNN the building was built in 2004. Now in Arkansas, hundreds of educators, parents, and students all marched to the Capitol to encourage voters to elect politicians they say are friendly to teachers. The Stand With Our Students rally comes just before early voting begins tomorrow. The teachers union wants to make public schools the #1 priority for lawmakers. The group expressed their support for the Democratic candidate running for governor, Jared Henderson.
Our single defining most important goal must be that in 10 years, Arkansas is the best state in the United States to be a public school teacher. Yeah!
Now, in a statement before the rally, Governor Hutchinson said a robust retirement system is the best way to reward teachers, and he has no intentions of moving, dismantling, or merging Arkansas teachers' retirement. Well, every week here on CBS 4, we bring you stories about why mentoring matters. And this week, we head to Francis S. Tucker Elementary in Coconut Grove, where one man is on a mission to change lives in the same area where he grew up and went to school. And by what we saw, he and his team are already making their mark. CBS 4 anchor Elliot Rodriguez has this story.
You get it wrong, you owe me more push-ups, you know that, right?
Alex Poe runs the home team after-school program at Francis S. Tucker Elementary School in Coconut Grove.
4 times 5.
20. The program is focused on giving students time to reinforce their reading, writing, and math skills while they take part in activities like sports, dancing, and art.
The idea is, #1, to minimize the free time of these kids after school. We want to provide the kids with every opportunity that any other child their age would have.
Poe, a former University of Miami football player, says volunteering in the community and learning from his own mentors inspired him to work with young kids.
Mentoring means the world to me. Not long ago, I didn't come from the same background as a lot of these kids, but I dealt with a lot of the same issues, and I had plenty of mentors growing up that helped me, and I give them a lot of credit to the man that I am nowadays.
One of those students is 11-year-old Johnny. Poe has been working with Johnny for the last year and a half and says they're inseparable.
Johnny was the first student at Tucker Elementary School that I met. Kid's full of personality, very bright kid. You could tell he needs a lot of attention and affection. And so we bonded right away. When I've been around here, we've been pretty inseparable.
Poe is also celebrating a new addition to the program. This fall, he added a section just for girls.
So you guys, we need 2 captains. Who are captains?
Me, Captain.
Top 3 things I try to instill in any one of these kids is just manners. Number 1, first and foremost, that discipline and accountability. So a lot of these kids can understand that a lot of their behavior and just the way they communicate with people is a direct reflection on not only themselves, but a lot of other people.
The home team is currently searching for mentors. Poe believes it's vital that people come forward and help the next generation.
Children right now account for about 1/3 of the population, but 100% of the future, not just here in Miami, but throughout the entire country. And so we have a lot of power as far as what our future looks like based upon the engagement we have with these kids and what life lessons we're passing down to a lot of these kids.
Poe is working toward offering STEM classes in the spring. He's hoping students improve their science grades so they can help Tucker Elementary retrieve its magnet stool designation. Very neat. Now, if you want to find out how you can volunteer or donate, you can head over to our page, cbsmiami.com/mentoring matters. And we want to hear about the mentors in your life. Email us mentoringmatters@cbs.com. Still ahead on CBS 4 this Sunday morning, is the legalization of marijuana leading to more crashes on the road? The new research is just ahead. Plus, in campaign 2018, President Trump weighs in on the Florida race for governor. And Democrat Andrew Gillum fires back. CBS 4 this Sunday morning. We'll be right back. Stay with us. On the Health Watch this morning, marijuana is now legal for recreational use in 9 different states, the District of Columbia, and all of Canada. But new research shows that could be leading to more accidents on the road. CBS 4's Hillary Lane explains.
Last year, family, friends, and law enforcement in the San Francisco area buried California Highway Patrol officer Andrew Camilleri. He was killed on Christmas Eve when a car slammed into his cruiser. Police believe the driver was under the influence of alcohol and marijuana. A few days later, pot became legal for recreational use in California. Authorities tracking accidents in the San Francisco Bay Area predict there will be a 142% jump in the number of traffic collisions involving drivers under the influence of marijuana by the end of the year. And now the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety is releasing a new report on vehicle accidents in the first states to legalize the drug.
The evidence is showing us at this point is that we're seeing an increase in crash risk associated with the legalization of marijuana.
The IIHS looked at Colorado, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington. They found the number of collision insurance claims rose as much as 6% in those states compared to neighboring states where marijuana is still illegal. Polls have shown many people don't believe marijuana impacts driving ability like alcohol, and it can be challenging for police to detect.
The difficulty is unlike alcohol, where you can actually measure a blood alcohol concentration level, you can't do that currently with marijuana.
Police departments are now training officers to better recognize drivers who are high. And several states are testing new devices like saliva swabs that can identify drugs in the system. Hillary Lane, CBS News, New York.
Well, another study found that 14% of drivers pulled over for being under the influence of pot had a child in the car. Well, Dave, we have some showers in the forecast today,
later,
but then some cooler temperatures coming in. I say cooler very loosely.
Slightly, yes, a few degrees. We're still into the 80s. This is a cold front, but not that classic one where you get numbers that drop way down. You'll notice the change. The humidity drops, and
I'll take that.
The wind picks up, though.
About that.
So watch the grab the hairspray. You'll need it here the next few days. Wind picking up here. Look at where the cold front is right now. It's just to the north. These are the 24-hour temperature drops. So right along the Panhandle and just east of Jacksonville, you're seeing numbers drop just a few degrees. Still pretty much the same as where it was yesterday in Orlando and to the south here, but the wind picking up out of the northwest. This will turn to the northeast. You'll see it gusting here overnight tonight and especially tomorrow. Right along the coast, you'll see the wind going northeast, maybe 20-25 mile-an-hour wind gust or higher at times. That'll create some rip currents and small craft issues. There's already an advisory here in effect. Pictures this morning. Sandra sent us this nice shot waiting for the sunshine. It is here now, but just a few clouds are off in the distance there. So a nice start to the day. Here's what we have across the area with just a partly cloudy sky and some low clouds there off in the distance. A bit muggy right now, but it'll start to get a little drier as that front approaches the area. You'll notice that this afternoon. Mid 70s will climb into the upper 80s, close to 90 degrees, and you'll start to see a few showers developing here on real-time Doppler. That'll be the indication that that front is getting closer. It is here now. The cooler air is into the Carolinas, down through Atlanta, and the line of clouds pushing down through Jacksonville, so you're starting to see the temperatures drop there and the wind pick up as well, especially off the coast of the Carolinas. The front moves south and a little bit of moisture out ahead of it, so here come the showers, 1 or 2 picking up about 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock this afternoon, maybe even an isolated thunderstorm. But right about now, you're starting to see that humidity drop, so it feels a bit more comfortable. And the wind picks up, though. There's that strong east to northeast wind as the high builds in over the Carolinas. It is not over Alabama and Mississippi. That's when you get the cold air coming right down the Florida Peninsula, so not a big drop in temperatures. More of a wind event here across the area, especially up and down the coast, Monday and early Tuesday. Now, relative humidity, it's fairly high this morning, above 80%, but these are the colors you like to see when it's near 50%, nice and comfortable. Starting to get a little bit of that by 2 o'clock. The air mixes just a bit, gets slightly drier, and then very comfortable, especially tomorrow afternoon. Even though it is breezy and slightly cooler, you'll notice that humidity dropping as well. The very dry air stays up to the north. Waves will pick up as the wind speeds increase. They go right down into Palm Beach County, Broward, and Miami-Dade. 4 to 6 foot seas, increasing at times to about 6 to maybe up to 5 feet. There's an advisory in effect today, tonight, just off the coast here. The Keys, just use caution. There may be an advisory in effect tomorrow. Rip current risk will be increasing today. It is just moderate. If you're at the beach today, it is gusty. 6:54 a.m. is the high tide this morning, and then low tide coming in about 6 hours after that. No tropical activity is expected to develop. 89 degrees, gusty here overnight tonight. Look for showers and then a thunderstorm. The extended forecast will have wind gusts here Monday and Tuesday. Moisture returns and storms are back in the forecast starting Wednesday.
All right, thank you, Dave. Now on to campaign 2018 and Florida's race for governor. Earlier, we reported Andrew Gillum has some star power supporting his campaign, but Republican nominee Ron DeSantis also has some major support as well. President Donald Trump. The president tweeted yesterday saying DeSantis is working hard and will be a record-setting governor. And without mentioning Andrew Gillum by name, the president said he, as mayor of Tallahassee, ran one of the worst and most corrupt cities in the U.S. Mayor Gillum responded with a video on Twitter.
Again, lying on me and on the city of Tallahassee. I don't expect much more or anything different from them. And in fact, you all shouldn't expect anything different from Ron DeSantis.
In the meantime, at a campaign stop, DeSantis seemed to distance himself from the president's tweet, saying the voters will judge him on his own record. Now, coming up after CBS 4 this Sunday morning, Facing South Florida with host Jim DeFede. That is live starting at 8 this morning. And Jim, he joins us now in the studio. Jim, good morning.
Morning, Carly.
So do you think that DeSantis was distancing himself from the president's tweets a little bit?
He may be trying. I don't think that really works at this point. I think pretty much Ron DeSantis is tied at the hip to the president. Ron DeSantis will rise and fall depending about how people view the president. So I think that's done. I mean, look, Ron DeSantis is the nominee in large part because Donald Trump, put out tweets supporting him. So he's the nominee who got him there. So I think that that's the way it's just going to work. He's tied to Donald Trump, and really all these celebrity endorsements, I don't think really make much of a difference, I'll be honest with you.
I was going to ask about that. Do you think that matters to Florida voters at all?
Look, if it was based on star power and Hollywood expertise, then Hillary Clinton would be president right now, and she's not. I do think that the endorsements that matter and the campaign style events that can matter is when the president comes. We're expecting President Trump to come into Florida to campaign for Ron DeSantis as well as for Governor Rick Scott. And I also think you can likely expect to see former President Obama come into the state to campaign on behalf of Andrew Gillum and Bill Nelson. I think those are the kind of draws that can really bring people out, excite and motivate people a lot more than a Beyonce concert.
Sure. Well, with in-person early voting starting tomorrow, obviously a lot more questions. You have a debate coming up in just a few minutes, so tell us a little bit more about that before we head to break.
Well, let's just talk about voting. I mean, I'll break some news here. I just looked at the latest numbers that came out less than half an hour ago. We already have more than 900,000 people have voted already by mail-in ballots this year. That's an amazing number. It's like 960,000, so nearly 1 million people have already voted. And now, but coming up, we got a debate with the agriculture candidates. We got the two candidates, Nikki Fried and Matt Caldwell, for the Ag Commission race. You may not think if you're a farmer, unless you're a farmer, this matters to you. It does. These are the people that control the do not call list. These are the folks who do consumer services and water quality. So it's a lot of good stuff. We'll have the two of them on together for their only televised debate.
All right. Thank you so much, Jim. Remember, that is coming up at 8 o'clock this morning when Facing South Florida starts in just a few minutes. CBS 4 This Morning. We'll be right back.
And now, CBS 4 Sports.
The Heat getting their first chance of the season to play in front of a friendly crowd, but a controversial call puts a hold to those celebrations. Here's CBS 4's Mike Cunha with your morning sports.
Well, it was not a happy homecoming for the Miami Heat, who get stung by the Hornets in a one-point controversial loss here at the AAA last night.
On behalf of our teammates,
UD, Dwayne Wade addressing the crowd pre-game. Fans pumped up. First quarter, Derek Jones Jr. addressing the rim. He has a clear lane for liftoff Heat. Heat fans get used to that. He is a high flyer, but everything that he did was met with a response from Hornets and Kemba Walker. He was red hot in the first half, 22 points. Heat down 20 at the break. Miami down by as many as 26, but a big third quarter, and this 4-point play from Goran Dragic helps the Heat creep on back. Less than a minute to go now. Wade looking for the lead, misses a three, grabs his own rebound, puts it back in, ties the game at 112. Now on the other end, Kemba keeping it the whole way. He gets fouled on the drive by Rodney McGruder. Walker would hit a free throw, capping off a 39-point performance. Misses a second shot intentionally, handing Miami the 113-112 loss.
You just want the players to decide the game, and our refs have the toughest job, I feel, of any refs in any sport. But, two teams fight like that. You just want the players to decide it. So it's tough.
In baseball news, the Marlins have reportedly signed two international prospects, Victor Mesa Jr. and Victor Mesa. 3 Mesas for the price of 2, with 22-year-old Victor regarded as the better of the two prospects. The Cuban brothers are expected to be introduced to the media at a press conference Monday morning. Dodgers-Brewers Game 7 of the NLCS winner going to the World Series. 2 on, 2 out for Yasiel Puig in the 6th. He's thinking home run the entire way. A 3-run shot off the top of the wall gives LA a 5-1 lead. They are off to another World Series where they're going to take on the Boston Red Sox. Panthers honoring Ed Jovanovski before last night's game against Detroit. Down a goal in the final minutes. Mike Hoffman, the newcomer, moves in, sneaks the puck into the back of the net. Panthers force overtime. But in the overtime, the Cats cough up the puck. Gustavo Nyquist has a breakaway to the net. Red Wings win 4-3, but Florida does grab a point. And finally, don't forget the Dolphins taking on the Detroit Lions. Miami trying to move to 5-2 on this season. That'll do it for sports. I'm Mike Cunio for CBS 4 This Morning.
Now to an all-new Heroes Among Us. Every week, in partnership with the Florida Panthers, we put the spotlight on a man or a woman who has gone beyond the call of duty for our country. This morning, CBS 4 anchor Maribel Rodriguez introduces us to a distinguished World War II veteran, Lieutenant Colonel Bill Schwartz.
In 1941, Bill Schwartz enlisted in the Army because he says he realized the country was in danger and it was up to him to defend it. He served during the Omaha Beach invasion and D-Day. On the very first day, within the first 24 hours, he lost 80% of the men under his command. But he continued to fight and lead the remaining men off for the love of his country.
This is what a citizen should do for his country. When you have the freedom of the most wonderful country in the entire globe, one must do what they need to do.
Lieutenant Colonel Schwartz, who is the recipient of 3 Purple Hearts, was honored at the Panthers home opener. It was a very emotional tribute for this World War II veteran who received a standing ovation from the entire arena. With his girlfriend by his side, he wiped his tears of gratitude, thanking the fans and his girlfriend Joy with a sweet kiss. On behalf of the Florida Panthers and CBS 4, we would like to say thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Bill Schwartz, for your service. Maribel Rodriguez, CBS 4 News.
And we certainly thank all of our veterans. CBS 4 this Sunday morning is coming right back. But first, here are your winning lottery numbers. Good luck, everybody. All right, before you head out the door to plan your day, Dave has another look at your Sunday forecast.
Day looks good. Tomorrow night, tonight and tomorrow, different story. The cold front coming in, wind will pick up here overnight tonight. Look for a few showers, and that's followed by a gusty breeze. Winds around for a day or two. The moisture comes back, and then the showers are back in the forecast Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Cold front is good enough for day 2-3 degrees, down to 85 tomorrow.
Hey, we'll take anything we can get, right?
Sure. Yeah.
That does it for CBS 4 this Sunday morning. Facing South Florida, Jim DeFede is up next. Thank you for joining us, and have a great day.